Welcome to the Eat for Endurance podcast, where we explore the connection between nutrition, performance, and health for busy, active people. I'm Claire Shorenstein, a sports dietitian and endurance athlete, and in every episode, I share evidence-based guidance, inspiring athlete stories, and practical tips on a wide variety of nutrition topics so that you can feel better, crush your endurance goals, and thrive as a human being. Today, the amazing Meghann Featherstun of Featherstun Nutrition returns to the show. We chatted all about carb loading in episode 76, in case you missed it, back in October 2023. I can't believe it's been that long. That was such a great conversation. So go give that a listen if you are training for an event over 90 minutes and want to learn more about carb loading. This time, Meghann and I are exploring 2026 sports nutrition trends. Because I don't know about you, but even as a sports dietitian, I can hardly keep up with all of the sports nutrition products that are coming out each and every week. I learn about new ones directly from companies, from clients, from race expos, and of course, my own research. But one of the best ways to learn about what's currently available is attending trade shows and other conferences where tons and tons of brands present all their goods and allow attendees to taste samples and ask questions. And that's exactly what Meghann did recently at the running event known as TRE. She wrote a great blog post about her findings, which I'll link to in the show notes in case you missed it. And today we're going to chat about some overarching nutrition themes that she observed there, products she loved and what she wasn't so impressed by, and where sports nutrition is headed this year. I hope you find our conversation useful and that it helps guide you in your own product choices as you train for spring and summer events or just train for the fun of it. All right, here is my discussion with sports dietitian Meghann Featherstun. Meghann, welcome back to the Eat for Endurance podcast. I am so happy to have you here. And as we were just saying offline, I thought you were literally just on my show, but it was back in 2023. So happy to see your face.
Time flies when we're having fun.
Yes.
Having me back.
Yes, it does. And, I feel like everybody knows you unless you're living under a rock. You know Meghann Featherstun. So I'm not even going to bother making you introduce yourself. You've been on my show before. Just go listen to the other episode. Go follow Meghann, all her great stuff. But I just want to dive right into today's topic, which is 2026 sports nutrition trends. I could not think of a better person to do this with because I feel like you're always at the forefront of all the stuff. You're trying the things. We were just saying, hearing about new products from clients. You were at TRE, which we're going to talk about. You're traveling all over the world all the time to races. And so I feel like you better than anyone knows what's up when it comes to sports nutrition products. So
and it's, as everyone also listening knows, and I know you know, it's a vast world out there when it comes to nutrition products, period. But then even in the endurance athlete space of the gels, the chews, the drinks, there's so many options these days that it just can get a little overwhelming at times.
Yes. And I know when I started distance running, a million years ago, there were only so many gels to choose from. The landscape has really dramatically changed, which is amazing because there's something for everybody, in terms of budget and texture and flavor and, sodium content, you name it, it's out there pretty much. But it can be really overwhelming, I think, for many people, especially if you're new to sports nutrition products, new to running, all that. But even if you're, a veteran athlete and you're kind of thinking, maybe I should try something else, or gosh, my, running partner is using this, it can just be really overwhelming to go onto any website, if you're on the feed or if you're in a running shop or whatever, and there's just a wall of nutrition products. So I thought a nice way to kind of kick things off before we really dive into specifics is as sports dietitians, how do we even assess these products? So when you were kind of roaming around TRE, or if you hear about something new, let's start with gels because I know it'll vary depending what product we're talking about. So maybe we can do gels, then chews and drinks and anything else. But how do you determine if something is worthwhile or quote unquote good, or whatever parameters you want to use?
Yeah. So starting with gels, I think the couple things that I look for are how many grams of carbs are in it. And then along with that, the size of it seems to really matter to athletes. That's not something I often thought of myself, but working with people, where am I going to put these? This is so big. This is shaped different than the shape of the pocket in my shorts, so grams of carbs to how big that packaging is, or like what that package looks like, is always very intriguing to me. And then of course, like sodium and caffeine additions. So I think those are the kind of the three top things that you can flip it over and look at the nutrition label to see how many grams of carbs are in this, how much sodium's in this, is there or is there not caffeine, and how much. And then if we want to get really specific, we can start looking at like the combination of carbs that they're putting into their product, which, to be fair, I actually don't pay a ton of attention to, because this day and age, anybody coming out with a new product is using the mixed carbohydrates for all of the multiple carb transporters that we have. So I kind of leave that to the brand, because they're all doing fine with that combination. So the only reason I would look at that is if like a client wants a certain type of maltodextrin, but no, if there's a certain preference that a client has. But for that, I kind of just let the manufacturers look at it. And then texture seems to be pretty big for people too. Thin gels, thick gels, the Jell-O-like gels, people have very strong opinions as to what consistency their gel needs to be. So I kind of try to pay attention to that too.
Are there any like red flags, like things you are just watching out for or steering people away from when it comes to like a gel?
I think the biggest red flag, and the whole Springgate controversy that it didn't have how many grams of carbs it said it should have. I am a little leery now. I didn't used to be at all. Like if it was a reputable company, I'm like, it probably is what it is, or very close. We know that sometimes there's a little bit of deviation just from manufacturing, but not an intentional misleading of a product, as we saw with Spring. So now my head is kind of like, when I see something that's like, it has 50 grams of carbs, and I look at the volume and I'm like, how? Right? So like occasionally I have like a I have no proof or anything, but like occasionally those types of things cross my mind now, whereas they didn't before. I also had a really interesting conversation with UCAN at the running event.
Ooh,
yes,
I'd like to hear that.
Yes, very interesting. I've talked about it a little bit, so I'm happy to continue to talk about it. But they have their new gels that have caffeine in them, and their caffeinated gels on the label say they have 30 to 34-ish grams of carbs, whereas their normal ones are 19, I think. So there was a significant difference in those. So my co-dietitian was like, make sure you find UCAN and find out why they're not making a higher carb gel without caffeine. So I was like on a mission to get this answer for Sarah, and I'm waiting. And the first guy I talked to is like, well, I'm not the guy to talk to about that. I'm sales. Like, wait and talk to this guy. And he was talking forever. So I was real patient, waited. And I, started asking exactly that question, and I couldn't even get the full thing out. And he tells me that every single one of their gels has 15 grams of the Live Steady starch, every single gel. The rest of the carbs are coming from allulose, which we can't count as a full gram of carbs, right? We know this as sports dietitians, that we don't actually absorb and utilize allulose as 4 grams per 4 calories per gram. It's like 0.4 calories per gram. So my assumption is they're putting more allulose in the caffeinated ones because it's bitter, right? I think they're trying to cover up almost like that synergistic like sweetness.
That horrible bitter taste.
Yeah. And the sweetness, there's no sweetness in their Live Steady starch. It's a starch. It's cornstarch, So the difference in those carbs is allulose, not actual carbs. So the message I got from him was we can only count a UCAN gel as 15 grams of carbs, no matter which one it is, not even the 19. So that was mind-boggling to me.
I basically never recommend UCAN personally.
Same.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure. I was like, I think you're the same, but just want to make that clear.
So.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. It's one of those hard things too, and we can even talk about this as part of our discussion is, people, like whether it's professional athletes or influencers or people who represent brands, who religiously use brands. And it can be really hard sometimes because you're like, I want to use what that person's using and all that. But, But yeah, I mean, and just to kind of go back to some of the things you listed, I think with gels and with any of these products, listeners, you will always see such a wide range of, in carb amount, in sodium amount, in caffeine, the flavors, the textures. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because again, like everyone has different needs. They use them differently. What else are they using? Are they using drinks? Are they eating foods? Like what else is going on? So it's kind of just this intricate puzzle that we're trying to put together, and you just pick the thing that works for you, and maybe you're picking different things. So it's kind of meant to be that way. It's not like, all gels have to have XYZ, whatever in it. But, I think within range though, like as you're kind of pointing out, like a 15 gram carb gel, not really helpful, especially when you need you need a lot of carbs. So, so those are things to keep in mind. What about kind of chews? Is that, I'd say probably similar things as gel, right?
Yeah. And the thing that's very interesting to me, and I'm curious to hear your take on this too, I don't have a ton of athletes that religiously use chews across the board. My first sub-3 marathon, I used chews. Like, I love chews, but when I really was like looking at how many grams of carbs I was getting per hour, I just couldn't get enough chews
so much
down.
Chewing.
Right? Especially towards the end of the race, you're like pocketing them like a chipmunk and like trying to chew and labored breathing, and it's tricky. But brands are like all over just pushing chews. Like, there's brand new chew flavors and new chews. Like, they're clearly very popular and they're clearly selling really, really well.
I think, I think it depends on the sport. So I'd say, at least from my experience, and I know from my own personal use, I would never have used chews when I was like full on racing marathons, which I don't do anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, I do kind of chill trail stuff. So when I'm like lower intensity and I'm like hiking, cause like ultra running, you're just like hiking and do whatever. Like, that's a great place to pop some chews in. And I like kind of slow dripping it in, which of course you can do with the gel. But they're yummy. They taste like candy, and often in like ultra endurance, you're using candy also. So I'd say that's probably more where I use them. The other thing with chews to look out for is like how temperature can affect things. Like, in cold weather, forget it. I mean, those are going to break your teeth. And I found out the hard way when using, I remember it was like the Cliff blocks, and it was back when I was living in New York City, and that was just not smart. So that's often like with chews, I feel like it's almost this kind of supplemental thing. No one I work with, or it's very rare that I'll see someone only using chews. It's kind of like a little sprinkling of chews, or maybe they're using it like, I'm going to have a bunch of chews before I go for a run as like a little top up. And that's like their first thing they do. Or like the sour chews, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And there are a couple kinds, like it's just a nice flavor change, but again, can you just have sour candy? Like, yes. You could have sour candy.
Right. Exactly. And I love chews on like a long, slow, easy run, kind of like what you're saying. Because sometimes it's like you're out there longer, your intensity's lower, so you feel those hunger cues a little bit more. And it like, sometimes I just want like a snack. Like, I'm like, I want a solid something, So oftentimes I'll take chews on those like long runs that don't have paces.
It's a nice just change of pace, I guess you can say. Yeah, totally.
And I look forward to taking chews where I don't always look forward to taking a gel. So like sometimes it's just trying to switch things up a little. Yeah,
totally. What about drinks? Anything? How would you approach kind of looking at powders and, other
so
kind
I
of
think
sports
there's
drinks?
Distinct marketplace for two types of drinks right now. There's our regular electrolyte drinks that have a little bit of carb and then a varying range of sodium in them. And then we have the high carb drinks. So I kind of treat those a little bit differently. I typically, if somebody has a gel pattern, I won't have them put a high carb drink on top of that. Whereas if somebody isn't getting enough gels or doesn't want to carry that many gels, maybe we'll start with a high carb drink and then switch to gels. Also, it used to be when I started this 6 or 7 years ago that the only place we were getting our sodium was from our liquids. We weren't really getting sodium from our fuel. So a lot of times I was like really prescriptive on how much of a certain fluid we needed to get that sodium. But now we're seeing that our chews and our gels have sodium. So I guess all of this, if somebody new is listening, we need enough fluid, enough sodium, enough carbs. And there's, as you mentioned, I totally agree with that statement. There's a million ways to get it in, and there's no right or wrong way. It's just what you're willing to take and take enough of to meet your specific needs. So exactly like you said, it's a puzzle of putting that all together. Yeah. So I kind of look at like, what does that person need? Do they need more carbs? Then let's go with a higher carb drink. Or do they need more of the sodium with like a little bit of extra carbs sprinkled over the full run from that liquid?
Yeah. How are you defining high versus low carb? Like, where do you draw the line number wise typically?
That's a good question. I would say probably when there's like 80 grams to 100 grams of carbs in a mix, in like a serving of a mix. That's
so like a true high carb one.
Yeah.
Like not like your Scratch or Tailwind even or
Scratch and
that
Tailwind
kind of thing.
I kind of put on the higher sodium, a little bit of carb But it could,
Yeah.
depending on how you concentrate, how much you drink of it, it could certainly add more than others. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and the thing is, now that we have these like higher sodium products, and I'm sure we're going to get into that when we talk about your experience at TRE. I mean, in theory, people could just do like salted gels and water if they really wanted to do that. And that's an option because not everyone wants sports drink or likes sports drink and they prefer plain water. So that's, when I'm talking to my clients, and I don't know how you kind of approach someone who has like no plan and we're starting from scratch, but it's kind of like one of the things I always ask is, do you like to carry something or do you just want to grab from the aid station? And so we explore what's on the course. And then it's like, do you like the taste of plain water? Or do you want something like a sports drink? So, and then, like with the gels, it's like, yes, texture and taste. And we kind of explore all these things in addition to their individual needs. So it is like our job as dietitians, and I think most dietitians would agree that we don't have any brand loyalty. It's kind of like we're just saying, here's what's on the potential menu. Like, let's match you up with some good options.
Exactly.
Right?
I love that. So, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, cool. Anything else you kind of, I know we talked about kind of the basics. Are there any other product types that you frequently use with your athletes that you'd want to talk about here?
Yeah. The one thing that I was hoping to see more of at the running event that I didn't, but I think we're going to, is kind of like those accessory products that can potentially help performance. Things like tart cherry juice and sodium bicarb and, some of those things that like aren't a necessity, but like maybe somebody, once they dial in their performance nutrition, want that like extra edge or want to try something that might give them extra 1% and things like that. I think that's the area that probably has the most potential for growth and new innovation within our space, because there's only so much we can do with carbs and sodium and water.
Yeah.
Like you can only get so creative with that.
Sure.
So I saw a few products we could talk about, but I'm expecting to see that grow more just because of the interest in people wanting that little bit of an extra edge. Those products are usually fairly expensive. So I think that's a little bit limiting to some people, or maybe just not worth it to others, from a performance perspective. But that would probably be the only other like bucket. Yeah.
I'm actually really surprised that there weren't more kind of supplement or like performance supplement brands out there, because I feel like it's everywhere else, online or, like it's just all over the place. Maybe it would be helpful before we dive into your takes from TRE is even just to talk about TRE. I've never been, maybe listeners aren't even familiar what TRE is, the running event as it's known as. But yeah, what is TRE essentially, and what kind of companies, brands show up to that?
It's like a marathon expo on steroids. So like any brand that's in the running space, from a shoe, apparel, or accessory, they are for sure going to be there. And then nutrition has started to eke its way into the running event. So this is the third year I've gone. The first year I went, there was maybe 20, 25 nutrition vendors, and there was 50 this year, just a couple years later. So if you think about like wandering around an expo, that's very similar feel to what the running event is. Now, the history of it, I'm told, is this used to be where retailers, so people who owned a running store, would go and place their orders for the year. So like back in the day, right? Like
back in the day, yeah.
Yep. What shoes are we going to stock this year? What apparel are we going to stock? You could actually place your orders there. Over the years, it's more of like come see our products. So they're on your radar so that you can decide if this is something you want to put in your store. So there's a ton of different store owners that go. Obviously, people in the industry are also there looking at what other people are doing, all that kind of stuff. But then for the last, maybe 7 or 8 years, they've allowed quote unquote media to come in. So that's where like I technically fell to be able to attend.
Got it.
It's not just like an open thing that you have to put an application out and they have to accept you. So it's not like
really?
I want to walk in the door and check this out.
So it's not a conference that you just register for
Sign
and show
up for.
To. Oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Do you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go. Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say, do you typically go to like Fancy or some of the other kind of more nutrition focused conferences as well, where it is entirely nutrition brands?
Yeah, I have been in the remote past. It has been a very long time since I've gone. It kind of interests me. Like I probably would go again, but it's been a long time.
Yeah. Or I went to back when it was SCAN, so a really long time ago, the SCAN conference, which was really cool. I am finally getting to a place with my kids where I feel like I can return to in-person conferences. So I'm hoping to kind of do more of that this year. But yeah, so let's talk about TRE. I guess it makes sense that it's a little bit more geared towards like the apparel and the shoes and kind of all that stuff. And nutrition is a little bit more of a niche side thing.
For sure.
But 50 brands, that's a decent number of brands. So yeah, I'm curious kind of, and we can kind of focus on TRE, but also just zoom out a little bit more broadly, because again, you travel all the time for your nutrition work. I'm sure you see things all over the place. So you probably have a really good perspective on what are the overall general trends we're seeing, not just what you saw at TRE, but we can start with TRE. So we'd love to kind of hear or see, or we can talk about kind of like the things you observed and what you found interesting there.
Yeah. So one of the things we're seeing, and I'm sure everyone is aware of this, is the need for more grams of carbs per hour when we're pushing the pace, when we're asking our body to work at its like highest capacity for a longer race, right? Anything over 90 minutes or so. So the brands are definitely catching on to that and following suit. So back in the day, as you mentioned, we had goo gels, we had hammer gels. They were around 20 grams of carbs. So that was about it. Maybe there was a couple drink mixes, Accelerate, things like that. And now we're seeing that a lot of these gels have 30 grams of carbs, 40 grams of carbs, 50 grams of carbs. So we're seeing a response to athletes trying to fuel more by these products, kind of meeting that need and making it easier. So specifically, I spoke with SIS, which I should know. Their name is Science in Sport, but I didn't realize they really do a ton of research. So I had just put out a post on Instagram right before TRE about the study that looked at 60, 90, and 120 grams of carbs in elite male runners. And it was showing if they can tolerate 120 GI wise, that their performance was significantly better, but it's just getting to that tolerance. So I walk up to the SIS booth because I'm very confused by their products. Some of them have sodium, some of them don't, and it's not super clearly labeled. So I was like, help me out here. I was like, educate me more. Like when a client comes to me and says they're using your product, I'm like, which one? And they're always like, I don't know. And then it's hard for me to like really help without knowing. Go grab it. Show me what it looks like. So anyways, they were wonderful. And so the guy looks at me and he goes, I was an author on that study, because I started talking about it. And I was like, you're kidding me. So it was like cool to see that like they have their hands in this research. So they said that's why their gels are like 30 or 60 grams, so that you can easily get to that 30, 60 or the 60, 90 or 120 using their product. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like to full circle, put that all together. And then, so that was kind of on my radar as I was walking around. And I did notice a lot of brands either are 30 or 40 grams of carbs now, which lends itself very easily to hitting, those marks.
Well, it's like precision and never second. And like there are a lot that are really trying to do the 30, so you can just easily, tick that up to, as you say, 30, 60, 90. SIS, I forget if I told you this, but SIS was my very first gel brand because I started distance running in London. And so I was working with a coach at the time, and that was the brand. She's like, oh, I love this brand. I'm like, sure. So that was like the only gel I knew for a long time. And they're so, like the Go gels are so big because they're very watery. Yes. And I literally used to wear this little running belt that like, it made me look like I had like, I looked so ridiculous because it was like these little loops, like the way I carried my gels. This was in like 2009. Yeah, kind of. Or like, I don't know, almost like ammunition or something. It looked crazy. But it was like, all I know is when I finally like unbuckled that thing, I was just like, I'm free. It felt so good. But yeah, and those gels, and they're not very high carb gels. And but I remember coming back, I would move back to the States and I used to ship them in because you couldn't find them anywhere. Because it wasn't known, and I really liked them better than goo and that kind of thing. And again, at the time, we didn't have that much in terms of options. And now they're everywhere. So SAS is great. I haven't actually tried the beta gel, but I hear or beta fuel, whatever it's called. I hear it's great.
Yeah, I have a lot of people using that. I haven't tried it yet either. I brought one home to try, but I'm just such a creature. I know what works. And so when it comes to like a performance long run that I'm supposed to be building fitness, I just grab what I know works, but I should really probably play around a little more.
You're a Morton girl? What are you again? Yeah, that's what I thought. You're a Morton girl. I know. I hear you. I get all these samples. I'm like, oh, I really need to try it. I'm like, oh, but what if I don't like it? But it's okay.
Right.
Hey, friends, do you ever get back from a long or hard training session and feel like you need to nap or spend the rest of the day on the couch? Are you not performing the way you'd like, or maybe you're a bit overwhelmed by all the nutrition noise coming at you from all corners of the internet? Whatever struggles you're having, I would love to help. In case you haven't checked it out yet, my website, eatforendurance.com, has tons of freebies, including downloads and blog posts, as well as low-cost resources to support you with whatever you're working on. I also have a monthly membership, Fuel for Life Crew, where you get to ask me your nutrition questions in our private Slack community, attend live monthly calls, connect with other busy athletes, and access my entire nutrition library for just $39 a month. And if you'd like to dive deeper and get truly individualized nutrition support, check out my 3- and 6-month one-to-one coaching programs. I only accept a limited number of clients to ensure every person receives the individualized attention and depth of support required to create lasting, meaningful change. I have tons of testimonials on my website if you're curious what past clients have to say about our work together, and I offer free discovery calls to make sure we're the right fit. I also recently did an entire blog post about what it's like to work with me one-to-one, so you can go check that out if you're curious. Visit eatforendurance.com to grab your free downloads, explore my low-cost resources, sign up for Fuel for Life Crew, or learn more about one-to-one nutrition coaching. All right, let's get back to the episode. So high carb, and that's not a surprise. That's kind of been on the rise for a long time, and it's been making its way in other sports like cycling for a long time. So that's one of those things where, we have to be cautious. Like, we know that it's beneficial performance, but as you pointed out, if you tolerate it. So,
Right.
Some people are just like suddenly swinging from doing 30 grams to doing 100, and you're like, maybe that's not a good idea.
Right. And to be
So
fair,
being cautious.
I don't think we all need it. Like, I don't think we all need 100 grams of carbs an hour. Like, there's a specific population and athletic ability that really benefits from that. But the majority of us probably don't quite need that much. So it's just taking it individually with each client. Yeah.
Exactly. But so would you say on the whole, like, kind of, you just saw more gels, more products that were kind of pushing more carbs? Is that kind of the takeaway there?
Yeah. And then there was one brand specifically that I was intrigued by because it was two ladies. I think one of their husbands is involved too, but it was the two of them behind there. And they were called Pow Gels, and they were a hydrogel. So they're actually even a little thicker than Morton, but like that jello-y consistency.
Yeah.
But they have like different flavors. Like one of them was matcha. One of them was like oolong, something or other. So they were very like ethnic flavors to their population that they were like, this is totally underserved. Like, we need new flavors in this space. And the gels were fantastic. Like, they were great.
Oh, that's cool.
And the friend that helped them develop them, I forget what, she has her PhD in something or other. And like, she literally built it in a test kitchen. Like, so it was really cool to just kind of hear the behind the scenes of like how they got there. So that was a brand new brand to me. And they're 25 grams of carbs, very similar to like a Morton would be, but in a different flavor. So, if somebody's looking for specific flavors or they need a flavor to look forward to taking that gel, I thought that was a fun option too.
Yeah. Do you find on the topic of flavors versus unflavored, like, we could talk personally versus your experience with clients. Do you feel like sometimes it's easier to not have a flavor?
I think so.
Do you because like that's how I feel. I kind of like the lack of flavor in a way, but there are some people who enjoy flavors, and so I was just kind of curious what you thought.
Yeah. I personally just need I don't want flavor fatigue. I don't want to taste like my bottle is flavored and that's enough. Like, I don't want, it was so funny because when we ran Berlin last year, Thomas from Fuel for the Soul was there, and he's like, I didn't bring any gels. We were at the expo. I was like, here, I had them all counted out. They were in my carry-on, like so precise. And he's like, I didn't bring any. What do I need here, Meghann? And he's like, I think I just want goo. So he's going through the goo and he picks up 10 different flavors. And I was like, you're going to take 10 different. He's like, yeah, it's going to be like Russian roulette. I'm not going to know what I'm going to get. It's going to be so exciting. And he was like, he loved it. He was stoked about it. And I'm like, that couldn't be more polar opposite from what I need. But again, it's like whatever, you've got to know that about yourself and know. Like, I need to
that's a personality thing.
Do I not?
Totally. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Oh my God. Don't have any gels. That would give me a heart attack.
Right. What do you need different gels?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How am I not surprised? I feel like I've listened to a handful of your episodes of Fuel for the Soul, and I feel like that fits the little I know about him. It fits his that fits his personality.
I should be
what are some other things you noticed kind of across the board at TRE on the nutrition front with some other trends?
Yeah. Sodium was another one in gels, in chews, in drink mixes. That was a huge piece. Like when somebody had a new product, it was either a new flavor or look, more sodium. So, that was definitely a big thing, which is, like you said, is really good to see because some people do want to take just plain water. And then we have that option if we have, a higher sodium gel or the chews. Yeah.
Can you give a few examples of products that you liked that were doing this?
Yeah. The carbs fuel, the gels, they have a one with sodium now. So that was
quite a lot of sodium. Yeah. It's like 4 something? 450? I think so. Something like that?
So. That sounds
was
right.
a lot. Yeah. I had Aaron on my show a while back. So yeah, he was also talking about how he created the gel, the original gel in his kitchen. And we were talking through all that. Cause I also find that really fascinating. I'm like, how do you kind of come up with these products? And it's pretty neat. But yeah.
And I know you've heard of the Nugs chews. They have 300 milligrams of sodium in a packet of chews. Like that's impressive. Lot. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 servings, but the whole bag has 300 milligrams of sodium.
So. I wonder if that sour kind of flavor masks some of that or makes it easier to pack more in. I don't know. Again, I haven't tasted it yet, but they're on. The samples are on their way, so I'm excited.
Oh, good. Yeah, they're delicious. They taste a lot like Sour Patch Kids. The only complaint I've gotten from some people about those is they are a little bit of a harder chew, so they have to chew them a little bit more. So yeah, that's the only.
I do like I use which chews? I use the scratch chews because they're very soft, and the precision chews. I love those. Those are just very different. And have you tried those?
I haven't tried those yet. That's like a block.
A block.
Right?
But it's like, have you had Turkish Delight before? Like the candy Turkish Delight? Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. It tastes like Turkish Delight, kind of like that. It's like that consistency.
Unflavored, like their gel?
There's an unflavored one. There's a lemon, which is, I'm not a big lemon person, so I don't love that. But the mint one's really delicious.
Ooh, so, I like that. Switch up.
And it comes 2 in a pack, and then I just have like 1 at a time. So it's just like, it's nice because like with scratch or some of these smaller chews, you have to like put so many in your mouth. But this one, it's like you have 1 and it's 15 grams. Another product, I don't know if you've seen this, is Exact. Like it's an XACT.
Yep.
It's like a fruit thing.
Yeah. Have you tried them?
I feel like I have a while ago, but it's like almost a fruit bar or a fruit gel. I forget what it tastes like.
It reminds me of those Turkish Delight too. So I bet it's very similar to the Precision product, but just very fruit forward. Like lots of
like various flavors.
Yeah.
So lots of options out here, guys. Okay. So higher sodium, which again, I think it's great, especially this one. Like this is where sometimes like when I think about my road racers versus like my trail folks, like my trail folks are almost always carrying a sports drink of some kind. And sometimes they carry some plain water too, but it's more my like marathon runners, half marathon runners that are more like likely to want plain water and then just carry as little as possible. Because with the sport drink, unless you're using what's on course, then you have to carry your own thing and not everyone wants to do that. So it's nice to see some things that are coming out and it's where it's like, I don't have to add a salt pill and that, it's like I can have an all-in-one product that kind of just ticks the box. Like let's make up, because like at the end of the day, we want to make a fueling plan that's as simple as possible. Like you have enough going on in your head. You don't want to have to think about it too much. So that's good to see. I know you said also caffeine is another one that you saw. Do you want to talk through that a little bit?
Yeah. So, a lot of the original caffeinated gels had like 20, 15, maybe 25 milligrams of caffeine. So we're seeing, we've done so much research on caffeine over the years, and we need like 3 to 5 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight to really get those benefits. So if we're only taking a gel with 20 milligrams at a time, it's kind of hard to hit that. So I think brands are catching on that maybe we need more like 75 to 100 milligrams of caffeine in a pop so that people can more strategically place this into their fueling plan. So I did see more caffeine. The Nugs that we just talked about just launched 2 flavors that a pouch has 100 milligrams. I'm trying to think what other brand was putting more caffeine in. I mean, we know Morton already had it. We know Never Second.
Precision has it too. And Never Second. Yeah, they're all doing like 100.
Right. Yep. Right. So, that's newer that we're seeing that in so many different gels. And then as you mentioned offline, there was these little chews that were like coffee chews that had anywhere
those
from
sounded
60
super
to 120 milligrams of caffeine. I don't know if I guess you could take them during, but my thought was like, every time we go to New York City, the hotel we stay in doesn't have a coffee maker, and all of us are scrambling. Like, what do we do? Right?
Yeah.
So like in that, I'm like, you could just take one or two of these chews, and then that would be your caffeine, before the race, and then you wouldn't need some fluid. But so those were interesting, and they're, caffeine's bitter. So they were fairly bitter, but that company was very intriguing because they were looking to reformulate their product. So they talked to me forever. Right. And they're like, wait a minute, you're a sports dietitian? Hang on. We need your feedback. They're like, tell us what you think of the ingredients. Rip us apart if you need to. Like, what don't you like? What would you want to change? It was really interesting. So they had some, I think it was sucralose. I can't remember. They had an artificial sweetener in it. And they were like, what do you think of this? Like, should we get rid of this? Should we move to sugar? And then they used, And then they used some palm oil. And I was like, I don't love the palm oil in there.
Why is there palm oil? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it was really cool because they really wanted feedback on like, okay, we have this product. We have this niche space that we want to put this product into, but we're not sure that the ingredients line up with what your population might want. So what are your thoughts here? So it's cool to see. The first year I went, I felt like no one really wanted to talk to me. They're like, who are you? What are you doing here? You're not going to place a bulk order, and this year I very much felt like they were like, wait a minute, let's talk. And I loved that. Like, that's what I want to do. I just want to talk and like understand the product development and stuff like that. So I had some really good conversations about that with a couple different brands, which was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, I think, with the caffeine thing, it's like, I mean, you can kind of still slow drip it in, but some people find, and this is also again one of these individual things, and what's the context? What sport are you in? What's going on? Like, are you an ultra runner looking to kind of save the caffeine mostly for nighttime, or are you in a marathon and maybe you're kind of sprinkling it out, or maybe you're kind of putting it more the second half of the race, or kind of like how are you using it? Or because some people are having it a dose right before they start and then kind of later on. So it's one of these things you have to experiment with, and also how do you respond to caffeine? So similar to kind of carbs, it's like, of course you can try it, but you also have to know your tolerance and how you respond to caffeine and if it's going to work for you. And more is not always better
right.
necessarily, even though like everyone's always like more carbs, more caffeine, So just using caution because that can backfire.
I had a client come to me and she had run Boston the year before. Yeah. And, anytime that you're up super early, and not that Boston is a crazy late start, just depending on your wave, but you're up for a really long time. And she was super, super nervous. So she drank coffee in her hotel room. She drank coffee at the Village. Then she took her caffeinated. She had just totally over caffeinated and her heart rate was through the roof. And she was crazy anxious on the start line because she was already nervous, So it kind of opened my eyes to like, yes, we have these powerful high dose caffeine products, but especially for something like that where we're awake for a long time and already some adrenaline is pumping and some nerves are there, and then we add too much caffeine to the mix, and that's not going to end well. So I think we definitely want to keep things as a plan and strategic when it comes to caffeine. And like you said, trying it in training, making sure if we're going to take 2 or 3 caffeinated gels that we manipulate that so that we can try that in training, even when we're not running as long as the race. And, just again, making sure that our body responds well to it mentally, physically, GI tract, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Any other kind of trends or things you saw that you either just want to, call out or that you liked, or kind of anything else there?
I saw a lot of non-USA brands. So to your point, SIS has obviously made a huge mark in the United States. NAC is another one. It's a Canadian company. You're probably more familiar with it because it's more trail-based, or at least it kind of started there. But now they're putting out some more products that are more road running friendly, like the gels.
Oh, okay.
A lot of their products have some fat and protein in them.
Yes.
Kind of serving a different type of athlete. And I saw that they seem to be really pushing into the road running market as well.
Interesting.
Some of those gels are going to launch here soon. They had a salted lemonade that I tried. It was pretty good. It really was. But I don't think it comes out till March. And it get 30 grams carbs, kind of the same gist we're seeing kind of across the board.
Yeah.
Just another option. Yep. And then Amax was another one. It's from the Netherlands, and their stuff was like 30, 80, 90, or no, 30 and 40 grams. So that was the brand that kind of lets you juggle, like, do you want 30, 60 for an hour? Do you want 40, 80 for an hour? So they had kind of 2 different products out there to kind of hit those different goals. And they also had this bar that was like a white nougat, Like it reminded me, my grandma used to make this like nougat at Christmas that had just a tiny bit of dried fruit and a couple almonds, but it was mostly just this like white, sugary, chewy bar.
Yeah.
So they were like, you have to try. And I was like, oh my gosh, this tastes like that stuff I used to make my grandma make it, you know? So that's a whole new product, right? Because it was low fat, low fiber, low protein, and a decent amount of carbs. So like similar to like
it's kind of like rice
solid bar.
It's like a rice Krispie treat or Morton solid, that kind of thing. Yeah. Interesting.
So I was like, well, that's I'd never seen that before. I was like, well, that's kind of delicious. I was snacking
or
on
waffle,
instead.
the little
waffles.
the honey,
those
the waffles.
are always new flavors of waffles, where a couple different brands had those. Yeah.
Did you see any other kind of products like outside of the general ones that we always see, kind of more along those lines, or were there any kind of protein bars or kind of any other things that you observed there?
Some of the brands make energy bars and protein bars. Nothing totally caught my eye, to be fair, on that. And then there was a company that was making high protein pretzels, and I just had to laugh.
Oh God,
because there was like 1 or 2 more grams of protein in the pretzels.
Gross.
I was just eating,
and they probably are gross. Okay,
it's just like
it's like the high protein.
Like a pretzel.
It's like the high protein popcorn I saw in Target the other day. I'm like, can you just leave popcorn alone?
I just laugh when I walk past it. I was like, it's like 4 times the price for like a sprinkle of whey protein in your cheese powder.
Yeah, I know. Lame. What about, like, was there anything that you saw that you were like, hell no, or just like, yeah, no, that's not great, or, you know, not to like name names or anything, but anything, are there any trends that you're seeing that you're like, we need to squash this now, or just, and it doesn't have to just be at TRE, maybe we can even do generally, but from your various travels across the world, because you're traveling all the time.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that jumped out from TRE was I was actually expecting other brands to be trying to figure out the sodium bicarb problem, right? So we know sodium bicarb can help some athletes to be able to push harder, longer. And the problem is sodium bicarb, right? Base going into an acidic stomach can cause an eruption. So that's why a lot of athletes haven't chose to use it, because wrong dose or sensitive stomach or wrong day, there's an explosion. And then that didn't benefit your performance at all. So we know that Morton uses their hydrogel technology. So there's these little pellets that they disperse in it. So then you're not supposed to chew them. You're just supposed to swallow. So I'm not going to mess with bicarb. I just need good shoes, good nutrition, and solid training plan. And that's going to be my best fitness. But I have a lot of clients that are dabbling in trying those things. And so I tried just a couple spoonfuls of it for the first time just to experience it. It is very odd to have something textured in your mouth that you're not allowed to chew. Like just innately you want to start chewing, right? So that was strange. So I mentioned that because there's one other brand that was trying to do the same thing. So they created their own little hydrogel that you mix, but they're pellets. I mean, they were probably the size of a Tic Tac. And I'm literally, after trying the Morton they're like flat little beads. Like it's barely a texture. I'm like, how is anyone going to swallow Tic Tacs? Like something the size of a Tic Tac. I was just like, there's no chance this product can work. No one's going to take this appropriately. My co-dietitian wanted to try it, but they wouldn't send it to her for free. So I was like, we're not trying it then.
Yeah.
We could try it, but so that one was funny. There's a lot of companies trying to compete with Element, which I found interesting. So they're trying, Element got in hot water for adding maltodextrin as a stabilizer to their product without putting it on the label, which to me, a gram of maltodextrin is no big deal, right? But to not put it on your product label is a little shady. So there was 3 different brands that were a healthy Element with transparent labeling, like just monopolizing on the fact what people were upset with Element about. And I'm not sure how many more electrolyte brands we need in this world. So I'm like,
it's just getting out of control. Honestly, I don't like Element. I think it tastes disgusting because I'm not a big, like anything with kind of artificial sweetener that taste just makes me gag. It's also so much sodium, and so many people are using it who don't need that. I mean, I know you're a crazy heavy sweater, so you do. You need a lot of sodium. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's being abused in my opinion.
1000%. I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree. And
So
there's ways to get more sodium in a product without artificial sweeteners these days. Like Scratch has the electrolyte booster. Never Second has the electrolyte like liquid that you can add in. I wouldn't say that's new this year at TRE, but
Yeah.
I love that products are being created that when we know you need X milligrams of sodium per hour, we tinker with it and we figure out how to get that in because we have products. If you know what you like, we just stack some sodium on top of it and test it out. Make sure your GI tract, can handle it. So in my opinion, using something like that is my first go-to versus some of these really high sodium products like Element. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you seeing, we were talking a little offline about the quote new study about carbohydrate. I say, it's not any new research, it's an iterative review. But are you seeing anything kind of reflecting any of the low carb kind of stuff? Or did you see anything like funky at TRE or just like, again, any of your other travels along those lines? Or is it really like, yay, carbs all the time?
I really see a huge shift to yay carbs. I mean, there are still some people that swear by, low carb running, and if that works for you, it works for you, right? Like, I'm not going to try to change anyone's mind on there. Yeah. But across the board, like carbs are king. I mean, when I've been to some marathons all over the world, just watching and seeing like what products are people using. There's a million. I actually gathered them at the Chicago Marathon because I was just curious. I was like going out, like playing Frogger, grabbing like empty ones. And everybody's like, those have been in people's mouths. I'm like, I don't care. I'll wash my hands. This is so cool. It's like research,
That's funny.
I mean, there was stuff from other countries. And then too, traveling abroad, I'm like such a nerd. I love to see like, what is the fuel available in Tokyo and in Berlin and in London? Like, because it's different. And it's not always something we can get our hands on here. With different distribution now, most of the time we can at least get something fairly similar here, even though like the Bakari Sweat is a little bit different that we get here versus what we would buy there. But, for the most part, it's something that, we can train with. So that's been kind of fun. But I really haven't seen any product specific to the low carb craze, except I would say, I think UCAN falls in there, right? You only need one every 45 minutes. To me, that's promoting a lower carb intake. And then there were 2 ketone brands there. One of them was obviously Ketone IQ. I did like, have
you tried that?
I picked up 2 off the table, but I didn't want to talk to anyone there because I was like, I have nothing nice to say. So I just grabbed 2 because I figured at some point I might want it for a reel, or I really probably should try it and see how vile it really is.
So you haven't tasted it yet, right?
No,
oh my God. So I actually recorded this video and just, I meant to do a reel on this and just never published it for some reason. This is like ages ago because I was talking with our amazing colleague, Kylie, and we were, I forget how it came up, but we were chatting and I was like, I have an apple flavored Ketone IQ sitting in my fridge because my husband Eric grabbed it at a race or something, and she's like, I dare you to drink it. And I was like, okay, I will record myself while I do it. I have never tasted something so incredibly vile in my entire life. It is the most disgusting thing ever. It is so gross. I was talking to someone else who likes it, and he's like, well, you don't drink it for the taste. I'm like, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Ketones.
I mean, I'm sure you've read all the research too. Like there is no supportive research that it benefits endurance performance when you take it during a run. Theoretically, it makes sense. It's an additional fuel source, but there's just no studies proving that it actually benefits.
Especially Ketone IQ versus the Delta G.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
right.
Like an actual ketone ester. But yes. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. So I mean, I know people use it. I know people use it for like, they swear by it for like cognitive benefits or like it helps them feel focused. And so we hear a lot of, kind of N of one type, anecdotal type things. Right. So,
the other brand was monopolizing on that. It was actually a can. It was like a tall, slim can beverage. It's called Kinetic and it does use ketone esters. And it was, they were there the last 2 years. I talked to him last year. I didn't really bother stopping by this time. And it's marketed as like a mental performance type thing. Like drink this during work, drink this after to recover. It wasn't ever touted as like, use this during your run. So I was just kind of intrigued to talk to them about like, why did you create that? And that's what that was the message was, for like the mental benefits of it and alertness.
Yeah.
And that one, since it is like a drink, it's not a shot. It was totally palatable. I mean, you could tell there was ketones in it. You know, they have a distinct flavor, but it wasn't. I mean, for someone who wanted those type of benefits, like I would definitely recommend that over the ketone IQ. But I had a triathlete come to me one time, and he was like, I keep bonking. I just can't get my bottles down. And I'd worked with him before, and I was like, well, what's going down? Like, he does the full shebang, right? Does it semi-professional. So he's still out there for a long time. And I was like, what, you were getting him down fine before. Like, what's going on? And I was like, what changed? And he's like, same drink mix. Yeah. Same amount of carbs. I started adding ketones to him. And I was like, stop right there. I was like, is that when you had trouble getting him down? He was like, now that you say that, yeah. And I was like, okay, we're getting rid of the ketones. Like, they're probably not helping your performance, and you're not getting enough fuel when they're in there because you don't like the taste. So let's drop it. And he messaged me and he was like, much better this time. I was like, right?
Yes. Don't you love it when it's something that simple?
So simple, right?
So simple. Yeah. Well, when you do eventually try them, if you try them, let me know how that goes.
I'll let you know. Obviously, I'm in no rush.
No. It sat in my fridge for a really long time before I got up the courage to try it.
It's a good idea to put it in the fridge first. Yeah.
It doesn't help, really. I mean, let's be honest. It's going to be utterly atrocious. Yeah. Anything else kind of looking into 2026, things that you have your eye on from the trend perspective? Any other products? Doesn't even have to be necessarily like those little, the gel chew drink category. Any other things you're seeing in your practice, or it can even be with general nutrition, any other trends you kind of want to point to before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of noise in supplementation right now. And a lot of very convincing voices that we need to be taking a lot of different supplements. So I think that's an ongoing conversation that's getting louder that, we have to have then to help, right? If somebody's coming to us with this vast list of supplements and they're like, do I need these? Right? And kind of weeding through, what are we taking? What are we taking it for? When's the last time we had lab work? Do we need new lab work? Like, what's the intention or the purpose of why we want to take these certain things? I would say that's only getting to be a larger piece of conversations with me and clients these days. I think there's
any particular supplements that you're kind of seeing over and over again in your population?
Magnesium. Magnesium's a big one, and large doses of it, which we know can cause GI issues. So I'm always kind of wary of how much of this do we actually need. And then I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've seen.
Collagen.
Creatine. Yeah. Yes. Creatine, collagen. Yeah, for sure. Those are two big ones. That
B vitamins. I'm always getting people taking like B complex, like quote, for energy, which I created a little post on recently. Cause I'm like, how many times have I gotten people taking this? Sometimes it's like they're taking B12, they're vegetarian or whatever. They have low B12. So it's like a valid reason, but a lot of times they're just throwing, crap at the wall for whatever reason.
And have you seen a lot of like through the roof serum B12 values coming back online? I have a plant-based athlete
who's taking a B complex, and she said, because she had a really high B12 come back, and I was like, this is interesting. Like, let's maybe like pull back on that. She's like, I just realized my tofu is fortified with B12. And her nutritional yeast is fortified with B12. And like something else she was taking, and I'm like, well, there you go.
Right.
Maybe we don't need this supplement.
Drinks are putting it in there.
Yeah.
And I just think we're getting so much more than we need to. That's something I've seen a lot of. And then if this is someone who needs an iron supplement, we have to be really careful of what iron supplement we choose, because B12 is too high. We're trying to get that down. We don't want the one that has B12. So yeah, I think that's a big thing too. Fish oil is one that I see a lot, which for some people might be, a high quality one.
A lot of people aren't getting what they need, in the diet. Or if someone is, again, like plant-based or not eating anything fish. I mean, I think what I look for too, and I'm sure you do the same, it's like I try to be really, there are a lot of supplements out there that are containing a lot of different things versus like one single nutrient. Like if you have an iron problem, let's supplement iron. If you have a vitamin D, like let's focus on the thing you actually need versus like this multitude of stuff. Cause everyone's like, oh yeah, let's throw it all in there, But the problem is people come to me on, 10 different supplements and 5 of them are basically a multivitamin, or at least like instead of just B12, it's like a B complex plus all these other things. And then, so it's like at the end of the day, it's like you are like layering in so much of the, like there's so much overlap. And so you're getting these mega doses of stuff. So let's like simplify, like maybe we still supplement because you need certain things, but let's like just take the vitamin D and just take the B12 or whatever,
That reminded me of something I saw at TRE. So BPN put out the runner vitamin, and it was the things that all runners needs. So I think it was like 40 milligrams of iron, maybe a couple hundred or a couple thousand IUs of vitamin D, and I'm blanking on the 2 other. I think there was 4 things in it, and I had the exact same thought. I'm like, if someone really needs more iron, that's not enough. Same thing with vitamin D. Like sometimes it's 1,000, sometimes it's 5,000, sometimes it's 10,000 IUs. Like it just slapping this all in and being like, here, this is what runners need. I was just like, oh man, I don't love this supplement.
Yeah. No, I totally agree on that. And it's also like not everyone needs that. Like not all runners need that.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. It's like people think they do because everyone's telling them they do. So yeah, cool. Anything else you want to talk about before we kind of wrap things up today? Or is that about it?
I think that was about it for the running event. You mentioned Kylie. She was there. So there was 2 dietitians.
Oh, was she? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Kylie and that's right. With her podcast. Yep. So, I remember she said that. Very cool.
Did a live podcast with Mount to Coast, and then one of the owners of Noogs, Paige, is also a dietitian. So the 3 of us were like having our little moment there amongst all of the running retail royalty. So it was fun. Yeah.
Are you planning to go to any other conferences or kind of similar events this year?
I don't have any conferences. I really want to go. Are you a member of ASPDA?
No, but I want to maybe go to I want to go to some events, and I want to find some like dietitian buddies to go with. So let me know what you end up doing.
It often lands around my daughter's birthday or like on the weekend. And so that's why I haven't gone yet. It's usually like May sometime, but that's one that I think I would really like to go to. I get a lot of value out of their website and their research they put out. They put out like a monthly research. So there'll be like 25 articles that just came out, and they bucket up under different areas.
Yeah, I should join.
I think it's like $100. It's like it's totally worth it. So I've always thought about going to that one. I think that would be fun. Other than that, just a lot of work travel already.
Yeah, you travel. I think you travel more than any dietitian I know. It's crazy.
I love to travel, but my family doesn't love to travel. So I'm like, this is just kind of fills my cup for loving that adventure. But then also, as you said, you can really get your feet on the ground and kind of see what's happening lots of different places and get familiar with different brands. And, you do a lot of work with ASICS and New Balance and Adidas, and just made some really good friends on all those teams. Yeah. And it's just very cool. It's fun. It makes this world just a little smaller, and it's fun.
I think that's what I'm really missing and want to bring more into my life this year is more in-person connection, because this podcast, thank God for this podcast, because it allows me to speak to my colleagues and just connect with people, but I miss in-person stuff. So I want to get back out there. I used to do a lot of that when I lived in New York City, and I just, since moving here, I haven't done anything. So that would be nice.
And that's a big piece of it, running our own businesses at home from our home offices, managing a family, like it's a different vibe than our previous work. So I think it is good. I like that goal for you this year.
Yeah, thank you. What are you training for right now, by the way? You're training for something, or you're almost always training for something.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get back to the Boston Marathon. So I was able to use my Berlin qualifying time from a year and a half ago. And it was a fairly speedy race. So I'm like, I got to use it. I don't know if I'll ever run that fast again. I got to get up further in the corral at Boston.
Yes. Awesome.
So I'm hoping. I'm cautious after my injury, just to be careful. I'm getting older. I have a lot of stress on my plate, and running's another stressor, so it's just really trying to figure out how to manage all that and see what my body can do. And training looks a little different,
and also you're dealing with the crazy weather. I know it's icy and freezing out there right now. Oh my God, I feel for you guys. Like,
my kids haven't gone to school all week. Yeah.
Really? Oh gosh.
They'll probably be off the next 2 days too.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's rough.
Well, it's the wind chill. It's -5, but then with the wind chill, it's like -25, and they don't.
Oh my gosh,
walkers in our district, and
wow.
Plus, we have 2 feet of snow. It's wild, but it's been a interesting winter so far.
This is when I'm really glad I'm in California. I feel like I did my time on the East Coast when it was, I was speaking to my mom last night. She's like, the Hudson River is frozen. I'm like, I remember it was like in 2018 and like the polar vortex or whatever was happening. And my husband and I were running on, I think we were running on the West Side Highway, and there were just like ice, like almost looked like icebergs, and that's just huge chunks of ice. And I'm like, I cannot with this. I need to go back to California. So it's nice to not be experiencing that. But I do feel for you guys. So I hope it warms up soon.
Well, Meg and I were in LA a week and a half ago, and we were like, we need to move. This is it. This is where we need to land in California. We used to always say it'll make us soft. Like, we need cold weather. We need hot weather.
It does make you soft. I can attest to that.
Yeah. By the end of the trip, we were like, we'd be okay getting soft. We'll just move out here.
Yeah. No, I complain about it being 40 degrees now. It's really pathetic, but anywho.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much for coming back on the show, Meghann. I always love chatting with you. I love all your resources. You're such a wealth of knowledge. I love how you get into the research. I am not what I would call a science nerd, as you call yourself. So whenever, I can read the papers and do all that. Of course, we are trained to do that. But when it comes down to I always turn to your resources because you always do such a good job. So everybody, I'm sure everyone listening already follows you, but where can everyone follow you if they want to check you out or, go to your website, work with you or anything like that?
Yep. I'm on Instagram at Featherstun Nutrition, and then my website's featherstonenutrition.com.
Easy peasy.
Yep, sure is.
Thanks, Meghann. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me, Claire.
That is our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it was useful. And if you're enjoying this show, make sure you follow or subscribe so you don't miss another episode. I'd also be so grateful if you could share it on social media or with a friend and rate and review it wherever you get your shows, as it helps my podcast be found and continue to grow. If you'd like to support my free content, you can check out my affiliate codes on the shop page of eatforendurance.com. I have discount codes for Tailwind and for Scratch, Momentous, and more. And you can also buy my Feeling Things stickers linked in the show notes. And finally, I always love hearing from you, whether it's feedback, topic requests, or just to say hi. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you all next time.